Have you recently observed a gradual deterioration in your visual clarity? Perhaps you find yourself perpetually squinting just to bring things into focus. Or perhaps the text on a page no longer possesses the crisp, defined edges it once did. I'm also interested in the subtle yet persistent signs. Do your eyes frequently feel dry, gritty, intensely irritated, or even profoundly sore at the close of the day, even without a clear reason? If these descriptions resonate with your current experience, I urge you to give me your full attention, because what you are observing in your vision may be far more significant than simple unavoidable aging. It is entirely possible that these are the incipient indications of a much more profound issue taking root. I'm referring to the silent reality that for millions of men and women over the age of 60, vision loss begins to occur. Not merely because of the passage of time, but because their eyes are in a state of critical cellular starvation. Yes, I mean starving. They are desperately undernourished for the vital nutrients required to maintain optimal moisture, acute sharpness, and structural integrity. This starvation is a cumulative result of years of poor nutrient absorption, the dominance of inflammatory fats in the diet, frequent blood sugar dysregulation, and even the side effects of certain medications that actively interfere with vitamin utilization. This silent, ongoing nutritional deficit is precisely how serious conditions such as macular degeneration, glaucoma, cataracts, chronic dry eye syndrome, and even vision-related nerve damage slowly establish themselves. This is the critical piece of the puzzle that is so often left undiscussed. We typically postpone action until the print completely blurs, until artificial lights feel overwhelmingly blinding, or until we can no longer maintain the safety required for nighttime driving. And by that point, we are often reacting in fear and panic, terrified of losing our autonomy, our ability to read a beloved book, or even recognize the faces of those dearest to us. But I want to share a truth with you, a deeply held conviction from my years of medical experience. It is not inevitable that your vision must decline to that point. There are remarkably potent all-natural nutritional compounds, some of which are likely already available in your own kitchen, that can initiate the process of repairing your eye structures, fundamentally restoring clarity, significantly alleviating dryness, and providing a protective shield against further age-related damage. In the remainder of our time together today, I will guide you through the 8 most crucial vitamins, powerful antioxidants and essential enzymes specifically for eye health as you move beyond 60. And if you remain with me until the very end of this consultation, I will also provide you with 5 foundational daily habits that can dramatically and measurably change how your eyes feel and function day in and day out. I recognize the profound anxiety that can accompany the sensation of your vision subtly slipping away, but please understand you possess agency in this situation, and you are far from being alone. If this message resonates with you, and you are seeking reliable evidence-based guidance to remain mentally sharp, physically healthy, and fiercely independent as you mature, I sincerely encourage you to tap that subscribe button and activate the notifications. You never know who else in your circle might be in desperate need of precisely this kind of crucial, supportive information. Let's begin this vital journey toward better vision together. The crucial role of vitamin A retinol addressing chronic dryness. One of the most frequent yet often misinterpreted initial signs of ocular aging is not the onset of blurriness. It is the persistent sensation of dryness, irritation, or that feeling that there is a minuscule foreign object constantly lodged in the corner of your eye, or a burning, stinging discomfort after only a brief period of reading or viewing a screen. Most individuals instinctively reach for conventional artificial tear solutions, assuming this is merely a minor inconvenience of growing older. However, chronic dry eyes are frequently your body attempting to signal a much more profound nutritional deficit. Specifically, you may be lacking one of the most critical nutrients upon which your eyes utterly depend. That nutrient is vitamin A, and more precisely its biologically active form known as retinol. Retinol is the exact compound your eye structures utilize to manufacture real, natural tears. The self-healing inherent fluid that is essential for keeping the corneal surface perpetually moisturized, scrupulously clean, and structurally protected. Without an adequate supply, your tear-producing glands inevitably reduce their performance. Is this when you begin to notice that telltale gritty texture, the persistent redness, or the necessity to blink far more frequently just to temporarily clear your sight? And the function of retinol does not stop there. It is also an absolute necessity for optimal night vision. It facilitates your retina's critical ability to adapt to low light conditions, allowing you to maintain clear sight when driving at dusk or stepping into a dimly lit room. Without this essential component, night blindness becomes increasingly prevalent and frankly much more dangerous. The core issue: most older adults are simply not consuming or absorbing sufficient active vitamin A. Modern diets are characteristically low in the highest natural sources, which include egg yolks, grass-fed butter, high-quality cod liver oil, and organ meats. Moreover, the common belief that merely eating carrots is sufficient is often a misconception, because the plant-based precursor beta-carotene must be converted into active retinol inside the body. And this conversion process becomes significantly less efficient with advancing age. The encouraging news is that restoring your retinol level is quite straightforward. A modest daily serving, such as 1 teaspoon of high-quality cod liver oil, can profoundly support natural tear production, effectively calm irritated ocular surfaces, and progressively enhance your ability to see in low light. It represents one of the simplest, most biologically harmonious methods to restore genuine comfort and clarity to your vision. If you find your eyes often feel inexplicably dry or heavy even when you haven't overexerted them, are they potentially indicating a deeper need for nutritional support? Omega-3 fatty acids, soothing the visual engine and fighting inflammation. Next, we will shift our focus to another therapeutic fat that provides protection not just for the visible surface of your eye, but also for the delicate nerves and fine blood vessels that lie beneath it. Now, if your eyes consistently feel fatigued, parched, or even sting intensely after a typical day, the cause may be more complex than simply the air conditioning or excessive screen time. It could be systemic inflammation, the type that gradually accumulates within your ocular structures, inhibiting tear gland function and slowly starving the minute blood vessels that are vital to sustaining your vision. And here is a fact many individuals fail to appreciate. Your eyes are in essence a direct extension of your brain. They are composed of the same fragile nerve tissue, require the very same spectrum of nutrients, and suffer in an identical manner when they are deprived. This is precisely where omega-3 fatty acids, particularly DHA and EPA, become indispensable. These essential fats function as a kind of natural lubricating oil for your entire visual apparatus. They actively reinforce the blood vessels that supply your retina. They are crucial for reducing internal swelling and irritation within your tear glands. Furthermore, they provide a protective shield for the nerve endings in your eyes against oxidative stress, the primary driver of age-related vision decline. In fact, a significant clinical investigation published in the International Journal of Ophthalmology documented that subjects who incorporated omega-3 supplements for merely 90 days experienced a statistically significant reduction in their dry eye symptoms. This wasn't merely a small improvement, but genuine quantifiable enhancements in both their natural tear production and overall eye comfort. I vividly recall a patient, Frank, a 72-year-old mechanic, who approached me feeling utterly frustrated and depleted. "Dakinaya," he confessed, "I've been using artificial drops for 2 years. They help for 5 minutes and then it's back to feeling like I'm pouring water on sand." We thoroughly reviewed his eating habits, noting a high consumption of fried foods and a severe lack of seafood. I recommended a very simple modification: 1 teaspoon of Icelandic virgin cod liver oil every morning. 2 months later, his comment was, "I honestly forgot to use my eye drops last week and didn't even notice the difference." That is the demonstrable power of genuine cellular nourishment. If supplements are not your preference, you can certainly obtain omega-3s by consuming fatty fish, such as wild salmon, sardines, mackerel, and anchovies. However, let's be realistic. Most seniors do not consume fish on a daily basis. For this reason, a highly concentrated top-quality fish oil can represent a fundamental game changer. Omega-3s perform a multifaceted role extending beyond soothing dry eyes to supporting cognitive function, easing joint discomfort, and reducing cardiovascular risk. But concerning your vision, their contribution is unequivocally essential. Do you consistently consume fatty fish at least twice a week? Or are you relying on other sources for these critical fats? The digestive link. Ensuring nutrient absorption with bile salts. Next, we will investigate an even less commonly discussed factor, a fundamental digestive link that may be actively preventing your body from successfully absorbing the very nutrients your eyes desperately need. Here is a perplexing reality that many seniors encounter. They make a conscious effort to improve their diet, incorporating more leafy greens and healthy fats, yet their vision problems persist or even worsen. They continue to battle dryness, blurry patches, and heightened sensitivity to light. This seems entirely illogical until you grasp the crucial processes occurring within your digestive tract. As we move beyond the age of 60, a significant number of people begin to experience difficulty with efficient fat digestion. This constitutes a profound problem because the majority of the most vital nutrients for your eyes are fat-soluble, specifically vitamins A, D, and E, and the plant pigments like lutein and zeaxanthin. To successfully absorb these critical compounds, your body absolutely requires a substance known as bile. Bile is a yellowish-green fluid meticulously created by your liver and released into your small intestine by your gallbladder. Its primary function is to emulsify and break down dietary fats, enabling your small intestine to absorb these vital compounds, the very ones that keep your eyes moisturized, your vision razor-sharp, and your retina structurally robust. Without an adequate release of bile, those essential nutrients simply pass through your system unutilized. You could be diligently consuming all the recommended foods, cod, liver oil, kale eggs, and still be functionally malnourished at the cellular level. This scenario is particularly prevalent in individuals with a history of fatty liver disease, gallbladder removal, cholecystectomy, chronic acid reflux, irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, or general indigestion. Even common prescription drugs, such as acid blockers or statin medications, can silently diminish bile production without your awareness. I am reminded of Howard, a 74-year-old gentleman who maintained an exceptionally clean and disciplined diet. He told me, "I eat everything they tell me is beneficial for my eyes, but my vision just keeps getting foggier." His laboratory results indicated signs of suboptimal bile flow. We introduced a very simple digestive support regimen using a formula containing purified ox bile, just 2 capsules taken before his largest meals. Within 6 weeks, he reported that colors appeared much richer and that his eyes no longer felt completely exhausted halfway through the day. Sometimes the challenge is not about the quality of the food you are consuming. It is fundamentally about your body's true capacity to absorb and utilize that nutrition. If you frequently experience a feeling of bloating after meals, suffer from sluggish digestion, or have previously had your gallbladder removed, Could bile salt supplementation be the crucial overlooked tool for protecting your long-term vision? Lutein and zeaxanthin, the eye's internal sunglasses. Next, we will uncover two exceptionally powerful plant pigments that your retina fundamentally depends upon and how they function as natural biological sunglasses for your vision. If you have ever experienced difficulty maintaining clear sight in bright sunlight, if night driving makes halos and glare profoundly blur your vision, or if you are beginning to notice a loss of color saturation where everything appears slightly washed out, you may be deficient in lutein and zeaxanthin. These are not merely common eye vitamins. They are powerful natural carotenoid antioxidants that create a specialized protective internal shield within your eyes, specifically concentrated in the macula at the center of your retina. Imagine them as a pair of built-in self-renewing sunglasses that your body synthesizes from the plant foods you consume. They perform the vital task of filtering out damaging blue light, significantly reducing glare, and blocking UV damage that causes long-term degenerative changes. Without them, your retina remains critically exposed. Over time, this chronic exposure is a major contributor to macular degeneration, cataract formation, and irreversible central vision loss. Here is the fascinating biological detail: your body is incapable of manufacturing lutein or zeaxanthin on its own. You must acquire them entirely through your diet. Yet many older adults fail to consume sufficient quantities of the key sources: kale collard greens, Swiss chard, bell peppers, various squashes, and egg yolks. Even when these foods are consumed, the absorption rate can be limited, particularly if your digestive function is compromised or if you deliberately avoid dietary fats. For this reason, I frequently advise my patients to incorporate moringa powder. This supplement is derived from the dried leaves of the moringa tree, a plant renowned for being one of the richest known sources of carotenoids on the planet. Just a modest amount, 1 to 2 teaspoons daily, stirred into a smoothie or sprinkled over food, can yield a perceptible difference. I understand this intervention sounds deceptively simple, and perhaps that is why so many people dismiss it. They often assume that protecting their vision must necessitate complicated lenses or expensive pharmaceutical eye drops. But the simple truth is that your macula, the very core of your clear vision, is structurally built from the pigments you ingest. When it lacks the necessary colorful shield, your perception of the world begins to fade. Colors lose their vibrancy, contrast disappears, and eventually even recognizing the subtler details of a face becomes a challenge. We tend to take our vision for granted until we begin to lose it, but nutrients like lutein and zeaxanthin offer us a profound opportunity for protection, a natural filter against the relentless damage that accumulates silently year after year. Considering your current diet, how often are you truly consuming dark leafy greens or other rich sources of these macular pigments? Zinc, the essential spark plug for night vision. Now here is a surprising fact that often catches people off guard. Your eyes contain some of the highest concentrations of zinc in your entire body. This unassuming yet critical mineral often receives little attention, but without it, your vision can rapidly decline, even if you meticulously address all other nutritional factors. Zinc acts as the essential spark plug for your visual system. It plays a non-negotiable role in converting vitamin A into its active usable form, the very compound your retina requires to perceive clear images, especially in dim light. Furthermore, it supports the creation of melanin, a crucial protective pigment that shields your eyes from the detrimental effects of UV radiation. So what are the consequences when your zinc levels diminish? You may first observe a growing difficulty seeing clearly at night. You might experience your vision as feeling generally dull or perpetually foggy, even immediately after cleaning your lenses. And over an extended period, you face a substantially elevated risk of both macular degeneration and cataracts, conditions that affect millions of older adults annually. Regrettably, our circulating zinc levels tend to naturally decrease with age. The reason every time your body engages in fighting off an illness, repairing an injury, or managing chronic inflammation, it rapidly depletes its zinc reserves. By the time you reach your 60s, a lifetime of chronic stress, certain medications, persistent digestive challenges, and an imperfect diet can leave you in a state of depletion. Even individuals who believe they eat well can be clinically zinc deficient without realizing it. The good news is that zinc is readily available to replenish, provided you know the optimal sources. The richest natural sources include oysters, crab meat mussels, shrimp, and pumpkin seeds. If you are not a fan of seafood, a high-quality zinc chelate supplement can be an excellent alternative, ideally around 30 milligrams daily, taken with a meal, to maximize absorption. A crucial clinical advisory: never take zinc on an empty stomach, as it frequently causes nausea, particularly in older adults. Furthermore, be cautious not to exceed the recommended dose, as excessive zinc intake can unfortunately deplete your copper levels, a mineral that is also vital for the integrity of your ocular structures. When carefully balanced, zinc performs its role as the quiet, indispensable technician, ensuring that every component of your visual system functions in perfect harmony. Do you currently supplement with zinc, and if so, what form are you taking? Benfotiamine, protecting the optic nerve from blood sugar damage. Not every vision challenge originates within the eye itself. Some problems begin deep within the nerves, the delicate, fragile wires responsible for transmitting visual signals from your eyes to your brain. Once these nerves incur damage, your vision can begin to fade. Even if a superficial examination shows your eye structures appear perfectly healthy. One of the most significant yet silent threats to the integrity of your eye nerves is blood sugar dysregulation, especially when blood glucose spikes too frequently or remains chronically elevated. Even if you have not received a formal diagnosis of diabetes, years of consuming refined carbohydrates, sugary processed snacks, and white grains can exact a profound toll. When blood sugar levels are high, they trigger a chemical process called glycation, a reaction that essentially fries the myelin, the protective coating that insulates your nerves. Your optic nerve is uniquely vulnerable to this process, as it contains over 1.7 million individual nerve fibers. Once these fibers are damaged, they cannot clearly transmit visual information, leading to a condition known as retinopathy, characterized by blurry vision, floating spots, and increased sensitivity to light. So what is the proactive defense? The solution lies in a specialized superior form of vitamin B1 known as benfotiamine. Unlike standard thiamine, benfotiamine is fat-soluble, which permits it to penetrate nerve tissue far more effectively, reaching the brain, the spinal cord, and critically the optic nerve itself. Scientific studies indicate that benfotiamine can actively shield nerve fibers from the damage induced by high blood sugar, and may even assist in the long-term regeneration of parts of the nervous system. This makes it an especially beneficial supplement for seniors dealing with pre-diabetes metabolic syndrome, or simply those committed to robust long-term eyesight protection. The typical suggested dose is 300 milligrams twice daily, consumed with food. It is generally safe, well tolerated, and unlikely to interact with most common medications. But as with all supplements, always confirm with your consulting physician first. Have you ever noticed tingling or visual static, or experienced an unexplained abrupt dip in clarity that could suggest nerve irritation? Vitamin C, the antioxidant for clarity and collagen. Have your eyes begun to lose their natural sparkle? I've heard numerous patients describe this phenomenon in the same way: everything appears a little dimmer, as if I'm looking through a thin, persistent film. Or I clean my glasses repeatedly, but the fog never truly dissipates. This subtle yet disheartening fading of visual crispness is frequently linked to oxidative stress damage inflicted by unstable molecules or free radicals that systematically wear down the delicate internal tissues of your eyes. One of your body's most formidable natural defenders against this stress is vitamin C. Now, please don't assume this is merely a recommendation for the cheap ascorbic acid pills available at the pharmacy. Real bioavailable vitamin C derived from whole food sources behaves entirely differently. It acts as a powerful antioxidant shield, vigorously neutralizing harmful oxidants and safeguarding critical structures like your lens and macula, both of which are essential for maintaining crisp, vibrant vision. Vitamin C is also vital for the production of collagen, the protein that provides strength to the myriad of tiny blood vessels within your retina. Without an adequate supply, these delicate capillaries can become weak, potentially leaking, or even rupturing, which can lead to vision compromise over time. A patient of mine, Darlene, age 70, was struggling with chronic eye fatigue. She was non-diabetic, non-smoker, and ate reasonably well. However, upon closer examination, her diet was severely lacking in raw, high vitamin C whole foods. We incorporated a blend of bell peppers, kale naturally fermented sauerkraut, and a teaspoon of acerola cherry powder into her daily routine. Within a few weeks, she enthusiastically reported, "It's as if someone finally turned the brightness setting back up. My eyes simply feel cleaner." If you are a current or former smoker, your body's requirement for vitamin C is dramatically higher. Toxins from cigarettes and environmental pollutants rapidly consume antioxidant reserves. This is a major reason why former smokers face an elevated risk of age-related macular degeneration. But conversely, it is also why a robust vitamin C intake can be a powerful mitigating factor. Therefore, bypass the synthetic tablets and prioritize genuine whole food sources. Leafy greens, dark berries, cabbage, citrus fruits, or acerola powder if you prefer a concentrated supplement. Your eyes will surely thank you. On an average day, are you consuming raw, high vitamin C foods, or is your intake mainly through cooked or processed sources? Vitamins B2 and B3. Synergistic support for pressure and structure. Have you occasionally felt a sensation of tightness behind your eyes, as if pressure is gradually accumulating, or noticed that your eyes are becoming increasingly sensitive to bright light, particularly as the day progresses? These sensations frequently indications of underlying stress within the ocular environment, sometimes related to fluid imbalance, and at other times to nerve fatigue. However, what is frequently overlooked is the powerful synergistic role that two unassuming B vitamins, B2 riboflavin and B3 niacin, can play in restoring comfort and ensuring lasting visual clarity. Let's begin with vitamin B3. Niacin has been demonstrated in clinical studies to assist in lowering intraocular pressure, which is one of the most significant risk factors for glaucoma, a condition where excess fluid accumulates inside the eye slowly and irreversibly, damaging the optic nerve. If this condition is left unaddressed, glaucoma can silently steal your peripheral vision and ultimately compromise your independence. Vitamin B2 conversely functions as a vital stabilizer. It protects the crucial structural proteins within your eye lens, thereby helping to prevent the formation of cataracts, the clouding film that progressively obscures vision. It also operates as a gentle yet effective antioxidant, working to dampen internal inflammation and oxidative stress within the eye. What is truly compelling is the enhanced efficacy when these two vitamins are consumed together. When integrated as part of a comprehensive B complex or sourced from nutrient-dense foods, they collectively bolster circulation support, robust nerve health, and facilitate the essential repair processes that aging eyes are in constant need of. So, where are the optimal sources? One of the most underutilized and potent sources is nutritional yeast. Just 1 to 2 tablespoons daily can satisfy a substantial portion of your B vitamin requirements. It possesses a savory cheese-like flavor and can be effortlessly sprinkled onto eggs incorporated into soups or dusted over steamed vegetables. Other excellent food sources include salmon, leafy green vegetables, and pasture-raised eggs, all cornerstones of a truly healing diet. Unlike many nutrients that require months to manifest results, some individuals report a tangible reduction in eye fatigue and sharper focus within just a few weeks of intentionally increasing their B vitamin intake. If you have been struggling with chronic eye strain, unexplained blurriness, or persistent visual fatigue, could these B vitamins be the precise missing elements your body has been seeking to complete the puzzle? Now that we have established a foundational understanding of the essential nutrients your eyes require, let us discuss the small yet monumental daily habits that can make all the difference in how your eyes feel, how effectively they function, and even how they age. Because in truth, achieving optimal eye health is often not solely about what you take, but fundamentally about how you live. 1. Actively reduce your blue light exposure. If you spend significant time on a phone, tablet, or computer, especially in the evening hours, you must install a dedicated blue light filter application or consistently wear blue light blocking glasses. This measure shields your retina from high-energy light that directly contributes to eye fatigue and long-term cellular damage. How often do you use a screen within 2 hours of going to sleep? 2. Practice distance viewing outdoors. Dedicate just 5 to 10 minutes each day to stepping outside and focusing your gaze on a distant object, such as the skyline or the tops of trees. This simple practice serves to relax the tiny accommodating muscles that focus your eyes. It is essentially a stretch after prolonged near work and can effectively help prevent lens distortion and chronic eye strain. 3. Prioritize clean, mineral-rich hydration. Adequate systemic hydration is absolutely critical, as it directly supports natural tear production, and healthy tears function as a natural protective shield for your eyes. Aim for at least 1 liter of quality clean water per day as a good starting point for most older adults. How many glasses of plain water do you typically consume each day? 4. Consider MSM eye drops. If you continue to struggle with chronic dry eyes, explore using MSM methylsulfonylmethane eye drops. They are typically all-natural, gentle, and highly effective at flushing out micro-irritants. Many users also report noticeably brighter, clearer eye whites following regular use. 5. Completely eliminate inflammatory seed oils from your kitchen. I am specifically referring to oils like soybean canola, sunflower cottonseed, and grapeseed oil, as well as hydrogenated margarines, the well-known culprits. These inflammatory oils have been repeatedly linked to both macular degeneration and chronic internal inflammation. Instead, make a conscious decision to cook with grass-fed butter, cold-pressed avocado oil, or virgin coconut oil fats that actively nourish your eyes rather than inflaming them. None of these suggestions require a dramatic, instantaneous upheaval of your life or a medical prescription. But when adopted collectively, these small, deliberate daily choices convey a profound message to your body. I am committed to my well-being, and I care deeply about my future. Because your vision represents far more than merely the ability to see. It is the capacity to connect meaningfully, to clearly see your grandchild's developing smile, to drive with confidence, to maintain your cherished independence, and ultimately, to feel fully like yourself. And I want to emphatically reiterate, it is not too late. Regardless of your current starting point, there is genuine hope. Your eyes possess a remarkable resilience. They respond favorably to mindful care, consistent nourishment, and determined consistency. If you found this consultation to be insightful and helpful, I encourage you to like this video, subscribe for more trustworthy guidance, and share it with someone you deeply care about. You never know who else may be silently struggling with their vision, and a simple message offering real hope and practical steps might be precisely what they need to regain control. Thank you for dedicating this valuable time to your most important sense.